Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you in my basement in the great state of Kansas. And this is going to be my movie Gauntlet number 7. Just going through all the movies I've seen in the last year, trying to catch up to where I'm at right now. So, still got a lot of movies to review. So, see what we have here on Jason the Old Millennial. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well here on a Monday afternoon here for me. Going on another movie gauntlet, as I call it. Just trying to get through as many movies as I can through each episode to try to catch up where I'm at right now. So let's go through it. First movie I'm going to talk about is a movie I've actually gone through on the channel a while back, and it is called Cyrano, which is a musical. Technically came out in 2021, but didn't come out in theaters, at least in the state of Kansas, into 2022. So I'm counting it as a 2022 movie for me on my list. And this was actually an interesting movie because it was the first movie I went back to the theater since 2020. Of course, after COVID hit, I just kind of didn't go to the movie theaters for about 2 years. Just kept in my house watching movies. And wasn't sure if I'd ever go back to the theaters, but I finally really wanted to go see Cyrano because I love musicals, and this looked like, and I love really big, costume musicals, and the trailer looked so good for this movie, and the music sounded pretty good, so I just couldn't help but go see this in the movie theater. And I'm a huge fan of Peter Dinklage because of Game of Thrones. He was so good in, so I was kind of interested seeing Peter Dinklage in the role. Got some Oscar buzz, didn't get nominated, but did have a real good performance here in this movie. Even though he's not really a great trained singer, it's probably the weakest part of the performance is he's not a really good singer, but he does all right for the role, I think, and his acting is just superb. But yeah, so overall, I really enjoyed the movie Cyrano. And I've listened to the soundtrack several times, something I want to get eventually probably on CD, because I think the music is really, really good. And it's a classic story, Cyrano de Bergerac. I've always enjoyed that story and different versions of that movie. So I enjoyed seeing it as a musical, an interesting take on the musical with Peter Dinklage. Instead of having a long nose like in the play, he is a small person, and so it still kind of plays off of that being an outcast kind of thing. Though it is a little unrealistic that he could fight as a little person and beat up other people. But anyways, but still, very enjoyable movies. One I really recommend is Cyrano, especially if you like musicals. Second movie I'm going to talk about is The French Dispatch, which I believe came out last year. Wes Anderson movie. One I was looking forward to because I've been enjoying his movies as of late. He's been putting out some pretty good ones. I'm a big fan of Moonrise Kingdom, The Royal Tenenbaums, and The Grand Budapest Hotel. Was a pretty good movie, I thought. So he's kind of been on a bit of a roll lately. So I was kind of interested in what is next because he's such a interesting director. Definitely one of the most unique directors out there. His movies are so quirky. They have a certain style to them that he's like, only Wes Anderson does this. Especially the colors. He always has really weird, bright colors that are just so different. Really makes it a Wes Anderson film. Of course, the set designs are always really good. Usually a lot of good musical score. And of course, he has always this awesome cast, and he kind of casts the same people in each movie, which is always interesting to see. The French Dispatch is a very strange movie in the sense that it's like 3 parts. The whole movie is that they're a dying or newspaper called the French Dispatch, which, funny enough, is ran in the state of Kansas, which I'm from. So that's kind of interesting. It's from a state, I forget what, not state, but city that they're from or town they're from. I remember watching it going, okay, either that's not a town that exists in Kansas, or the way it looked, I was like, that doesn't seem like Kansas to me at all. But that's just me being a Kansan. Being like, that didn't seem realistic. But it's this fake newspaper, and the the person that runs it passes away. And so they're putting out one last edition of this newspaper, I believe. and it's basically these people writing stories pretending like they're from France or something like that. So it's like these French stories, but they're writing it from Kansas. I don't know. It's a strange concept, of course, as most Wes Anderson movies are. And so there's mostly three. There's a couple. There's Owen Wilson has like a bike story that's real short, but it's like three major stories from the newspaper that we're seeing played out. So it doesn't really feel like a cohesive movie. It's just like three different parts. And for the most part, this is maybe one of the worst Wes Anderson movies I've seen. I've seen almost all of them, and I really did not like this movie. It was like I like Wes Anderson for his quirkiness, but this was too quirky. He went a little too far with the weirdness and the quirkiness that he likes. And so I just didn't really enjoy it, and I didn't find it very funny. It was actually pretty boring, especially the third part. I was just so bored with it that I was like, wait, ready for the movie to be over. So I thought this was a very big misstep for Wes Anderson. I hope he doesn't make very many movies, and it takes a while, I think, before he makes another one. So I hope the next one is a much step up from this one. Anyway, so that's The French Dispatch, which I'd give like a 1 out of 5 stars. I thought it was terrible. Next movie we talk about is an animation movie from last year called The Mitchells versus the Machines, which I believe was a Netflix movie, animation. It was nominated for Best Animated Movie of last year. A lot of people love this movie. It seemed like it got really good reviews. So I like good animation movies. I still try to catch them as much as I can. And but I did not enjoy this movie like other people. I don't know. It was almost felt like it was made for younger audience than me. It was made for a different, I'd say, a different generation. It felt like it was a Gen Z movie. And as a millennial, I was kind of like, I don't know. It felt like people that watch TikTok would like this movie, and I don't watch TikTok, but because there's just uh, a lot of the cuts were just very quick, and it just felt like, and the way they had like words on the screen. What do you call it? I can't explain it. It's so hard to explain, but it just felt like it wasn't meant for me or something. And I didn't think it was that interesting a movie plot wise, or wasn't that funny really. I don't know. It just did not work for me at all. And I don't know. It just didn't feel. It just felt too quick or something like that. The way they cut the movie, it just didn't work for me. That's The Mitchells versus the Machines. Next movie is a movie I've covered actually before called Free Guy in one of my videos, but I thought I'd just mention it here. Of course, Ryan Reynolds led movie. Interesting, the director directed, I think, Free Guy, and then he also directed another Ryan Reynolds movie, and they both came out in the same year. So it's interesting, these Ryan Reynolds, because Free Guy was supposed to come out like a year or two ago, I think. I remember seeing the trailer a long time ago, but it took forever because of COVID. Everything got delayed, and so it finally came out like on. I think I saw it on Disney Plus, and I think it also came out maybe on HBO Max. Something that came out like in 2 different streaming services. And I always enjoy a good Ryan Reynolds led film with comedy, action. And this one dealt with video gaming. So I enjoy that kind of idea, that concept. It was just okay. Like, it wasn't one of my favorite of Ryan Reynolds like action comedies. And I think the ending though was pretty good. I enjoyed the ending, and there's a bit, I don't know, I would say kind of a twist at the end that I kind of actually really enjoyed. But it wasn't really that funny. Like, I wish it was just a little more comedic, I guess. The fight scene that Ryan Reynolds had at the end was definitely the best scene in the movie, where they bring out the Captain America shield and the lightsaber, I believe, at the end. That was pretty funny, doing all the different pop culture references I enjoy. And it kind of reminded me of a Spielberg movie, Ready Player One, which I thought was really, really good. And I thought it was a much superior movie to this one. So it kind of reminded me of that movie, but that movie's a lot better. So I was like, I would skip Free Guy and watch Ready Player One, because Ready Player One had to deal with being in a video game, basically, and it dealt with pop culture references, which I really enjoyed. So I thought they did a much better job in Ready Player One than Free Guy. I don't know, it just felt like a Ready Player One light game or movie. Anyway, so it was okay. It's worth a watch, but it's not one. I'd give it 3 out of 5 stars, like a light recommend. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't one that really excited me. So that's Free Guy. Next movie we talk about is a movie called Kimi, which is a movie you might not have heard about. It's kind of it was the only streaming movie, I believe. It's on HBO Max. I believe it's the only place it's at. and Steven Soderbergh directed it. And Steven Soderbergh is like this director who I remember was kind of, he's considered like one of the great directors, but he just doesn't make that very many movies. He's not out there very much. You don't see him out there, promoting movies, and his movies don't get promoted very much. He's very like, he loves doing indie, I think, movies, because he made it big with Aaron Brockovich in Traffic that came out like the same year, and he got nominated for Best Director for both movies. And I was like, wow, and it was like, wow, this, he might have won. I think he won for Traffic, maybe Best Director. So I was like, this guy's like an Oscar winner. He had a big career ahead of him, but like he does movies here and there, but they're just little small budget movies. And that's kind of the way it is with Kimi, which is, it's kind of a thriller, I guess, movie, dealing with a girl named Kimi who is agoraphobe who doesn't leave her apartment, and she works on the internet and with some company where they listen on conversations, and she tries to fix, and she hears a conversation, she thinks someone got murdered, so she goes out of her apartment for like the first time in a long time to go tell the authorities, or go tell I guess her boss, or the company, that she thinks someone got murdered. But then it seems to be a cover-up, and so then now somebody's chasing her, and now she's on a run. Someone's like trying to kill her. And so it comes this kind of thriller. Zoe Kravitz is the main actress, who I really like. She's been doing really good work, like with the Batman and this movie. I think she's, I almost want to say she's an upcoming actress, though she's been around for a little while now. But she's definitely, I hope to see more of her, because she does really good work. This movie's okay. It's not good enough for me to recommend necessarily, because it's a little boring at first, and it's a little slow moving. Not a lot happens until like the last 20 minutes maybe, and then it comes to like this really good actually thriller where she's fighting for her life, and people trying to kidnap her, and she's on the run. And so it kind of comes actually pretty exciting towards the end, and the ending climax scene is actually pretty good, and I thought it was done very well. It's almost kind of a I was trying to think, there's I don't know if you call it Rear Window, or maybe that's not the right movie, but it does have a bit of a semblance to other movies like it, where you overhear something and then you try to tell the authorities, and then it's a cover-up thing, so it's an idea that's been kind of done before, but they do it a pretty good way. I just wish it was faster pace and more interesting stuff happens in the movie. So I'd give it 2.5 out of 5 stars, which is like a light not recommend. Not quite there, but almost there. Had a good idea behind it. All right, so I turn the page here. All right, so the next movie we're going to talk about is a movie called The Eyes of Tammy Faye, which came out last year in 2021. Jessica Chastain won the Oscar for playing the lead role, Tammy Faye Baker. And this is a very interesting movie for me because it deals with religion, which I'm a Christian, and you're dealing with a really known religious figure, the Bakers, Tammy Faye and her husband. I'm forgetting his name right now, but they had a TV show, a Christian TV show that was very popular back in the 80s, I think it was. So it was time when I was, a little kid, so I don't remember anything about it. But I do remember the scandal. There's a scandal where I think, well, he cheated on Tammy Faye, and then he went to jail for like tax fraud or something. He had a big business, and he was doing something wrong with it, and of course he went to jail, and they got divorced and all this. And so it was a big scandal for, in religion and Christianity, because you hate to see it happen. Seems to happen too many times, because when you're out on TV and you're representing, Christianity, and then you do something bad, it makes all Christianity look bad. So, it's never a good thing when these scandals happen from a religious standpoint. But he obviously did something wrong, and he deserved to go to jail and all that. And this movie kind of deals with Tammy Faye, and even from a kid into her getting married and all that goes on. And she was an interesting character because she's known for, it says The Eyes of Tammy Faye, because she was known for putting a lot of makeup on. She's made fun of for a long time. So this movie was interesting because it really is very positive towards Tammy Faye, and, shows the fact that, yeah, she was made fun of a lot because of her makeup. She had too much makeup on. But that, she was more than just that makeup anyways. And Jessica Chastain gives an absolutely fantastic performance. Absolutely deserved the Oscar. I was so happy that she won the Oscar. I thought she definitely deserves it better than like Nicole Kidman or somebody for her roles, or whoever was nominated. I thought she definitely was the best, had the best performance of the year, I thought. So definitely, and you see her change from being young to them getting older, and they put makeup on her, but she has that southern accent. She has kind of this. She puts on this certain voice throughout the movie, and she's really just. It's one of the things where I love when an actor actress disappears into the role. And it was really one of those movies where she really disappeared into that role, and it was no longer Jessica Chastain. It was Tammy Faye, and you're like, you thought that was really Tammy Faye. So I mean, it was a good part for Jessica, just disappearing to a role and just doing a great job with it. And yeah, so it was an interesting movie overall. I kind of was enjoyed it, though. It's always hard as a Christian to watch a movie that deals with Christianity, because then it kind of makes Christians look bad. And of course, they're not going to do a movie about a Christian who's successful and lives a good life. They're always going to do it about a Christian who falls, from grace, and something bad happens. So so I'm a little stand back about those kind of movies, and so this movie was kind of like, I hope they're not making Christianity look too bad. And so they kind of do. I think they're kind of trying to, make Christianity look bad a little bit. But then at the same time, Tammy Faye throughout the whole movie, even through all this bad stuff that's happened to her, she still has a strong faith in God. And even at the very end, she's still, praying. She's talking about, she's quoting scripture. And, she's even being nice to people and helping people out. And it ends with her singing a worship song at the very end before so it felt like even through all the hardship, she never lost her faith in God. So I think there's actually a positivity towards Christianity because of that. So I kind of felt a little more positive about the movie at the end, because I was like, okay, at least they're making it, her look good as a, representative of Christianity on TV. So they didn't totally bad, they made her look good and made her, never made her faith look bad, that she had faith in God. So I guess I appreciate that. And I love the backstage ideas of stories of like this whole, I think it's TBN or something like that, or CBN, I forget what it's called, maybe it's Christian Broadcasting Network, CBN, I think it was, which I don't know anything really about. I never watched, like the 500 Club or whatever it's called, 900 or whatever club it is. And there's all these, Patterson, I think his name is, who's still alive, I believe, and there's all these TV evangelists that were very popular coming out in the 80s and so forth, that like I've heard about, but I didn't really know much about. So I kind of like the idea that this movie kind of shows them all together, and I kind of learned a little bit of the history of CBN and the televangelists there. So that part kind of entertained me personally, because I didn't know much about it and what happened with all that, and it kind of made me want to go research it and go, okay, what was going on here and what happened to all these people that were involved. Anyway, so that to me interested me enough that I'd give it a 3 out of 5 stars. I'd give it a light recommend. Like I said, it was borderline. Like I didn't want to be offended by the material, but I didn't get too offended by it that I was like, okay, I can kind of recommend it as an interesting movie. Not great, but it was interesting enough. I can give it a light recommend. Anyway, so that's The Eyes of Tammy Faye. My time is almost out here before I want to go. So I'll probably just end it there. And that's my movie Gauntlet number 7. So thank you for watching this. Comment if you've seen these movies, what you think about these movies I've mentioned. Love to read about them, what you think. Yeah, just thank you for liking the video. And just thank you to all the subscribers for supporting the channel. I appreciate you all.